Zaki, it's a pleasure to speak with you. Actually, I am a big fan of you, Sommelier. I think you have created a great platform. It's just the future, but people just don't know that about it. I made news about Sommelier and I told about it many times. So my community know very well about your project. We just would like to get some updates from you. You're going to launch a mem token and why you decided to do it. And I saw that some stakers possibly getting something. Tell me more about it. Why are you going to launch it in two chains, Solana and Cosmos?
Couple of reasons. Why? One, because I thought it would be fun. That would be the overwhelming reason why we decided a meme coin would be a cool thing to do. Another thing, there's never been like a very good bridge between Solana and Cosmos. It's been kind of a missing piece in the interoperability ecosystem. So Cosmos has very good sort of native interconnectivity between chains via IBC, and Sommelier has traded in Cosmos. We've also been on Ethereum for a long time and on some Ethereum L2s. And the main product is on Ethereum. I think this stuff is fun. And I think it's also the way things get better. So there's this project called Picasso. Picasso launched an implementation of IBC between Solana and Cosmos. And so now we had a bridge that was like sort of reasonable. And so it seemed like, okay, like what are your constraints here? Your constraints are, although most of the meme token trading volume is on Solana, that's where that community around meme tokens is. Like people have been trying to build a meme coin community on Cosmos with things like Start Cooking and NFA.zone. It doesn't seem to be going super well so far. It hasn't really caught on. And you have this robust community of traders and speculators and bots and whatnot on Solana. You couldn't do a Sommelier meme coin if you didn't do an airdrop to Sommelier token holders and stakers and vault users. We have all the infrastructure for doing that in Cosmos. And then Picasso comes along. Picasso is like, hey, we have a bridge. And I'm like, well, it's a bridge. Do I trust this bridge? I think it needs some battle testing. Well, how do you get some battle testing? Get people to use it. Well, I don't want to use it with real money, but meme coin money. That sounds like a fun thing to do. So, to me, a lot of this stuff is just about I'm a developer first. I built these things because I want to play with all of these different blockchain infrastructure that I spent the last decade building. And so we have these cool pieces that are tech that are connected to each other, and we can do interesting, innovative things with them. And so we were like, hey, why don't we do this Sommelier meme coin thing? I also think it was it's a good cult. I think one of the other challenges just to sort of exists within crypto right now is the market doesn't really get excited about what is comparatively boring things like yield and cash flows and stuff that just works and works reliably and has been working for a long time. The market wants novelty, hype, volatility. So we've been seeing lots of different trends away from where the market has been more interested in things like meme coins. And so I was like, why don't we play around with this? First time bridging over Picasso, not my first time setting an osmosis pool, but all of these things are I think neat little moving pieces.
When will you launch it?
The meme coin is live. We launched it 3 days ago. And the airdrop will be probably within the next, I would say, 24 to 48 hours.
Let's talk about Sommelier. How many devs now are working with you in Somm?
So the Somm core dev team is about 5 people, five engineers. What we did is a big part of our engineering team was sort of working on the sellers directly and was the sort of incubated strategist on the team, 7Cs. Now that we spun them out into their own entity, so they are off doing their own thing and continuing to build strategies on Somm, but they're doing other things as well, like Liquid. And then we're working to onboard new strategists on the Sommelier.
You launched your token in 2022. By the way, I got the airdrop. You were right to launch it tokenomics with zero inflation, but it doesn't help the token much. So if you could change the launch, what would you have done differently?
I would have launched the token after TVL had reached something closer to 50 to 100 million. I think it was a huge mistake, but it was definitely it was a product of the times. We wanted to get the token out there and decentralized early. That was definitely part of the initial vision, but definitely an error. That was probably been our biggest mistakes were in the sort of development of the token have been launching early, launching before TVL had sort of reached. I think there would have been a lot more anticipation around the token launch and stuff like that. Unfortunate.
What is your future plans to save the token of Sommelier?
Okay, so what are we planning? I think there are people have said, like TVL growth has slowed. Been spending a lot of time working with a bunch of teams on new products that we think are going to substantially expand the TVL managed by Somm. Right now, Somm token generates about, a little over $1 million a year in real cash flow just to token holders through the auctions. That could easily become 10x that number, 6 months. And I'm expecting, there's demand for vaults is just expanding dramatically. And so we're mostly focused on meeting that demand. More and more asset issuers are starting to realize that that's a good thing. The unique property of Sommelier is we are the only vault system that sort of gives an additional level of decentralization with validator set in the app chain. It's actually very meaningful to a lot of teams. There's a lot of regulatory risk in using alternative vault systems where the strategist is directly updating the strategies, and so the purpose of Sommelier. But in general, I'm expecting the amount of value stored in vaults to just increase dramatically over the next year.
You said Sommelier earned around $1 million last year, and approximately how much fee it will generate in this year, just approximately.
You would assume that it's linear, right? So if we are at 50, 60 million TVL, we're generating about $1 million a year in fees. If we go to 500 million TVL, which is roughly the size of Liquid right now, we would be generating $10 million a year in fees, and so on and so forth. And these things are the only difference between a Sommelier strategy and let's say Liquid is that it was natively integrated into by the asset issuers. And now that we've seen now that asset issuers are aware of how important and successful having a natively integrated strategy is, it's a lot easier to drive these conversations around native issuance.
Sommelier achieved a great TVL in bear market. It's an amazing result. And you launched it on Ethereum, then on Arbitrum and Optimism. Why do you think TVL is growing on Ethereum, but no longer growing on Arbitrum and Optimism?
I think that there's a couple of reasons. One is we have a bunch of incentive packages that are about to land for Arbitrum, and we also have incentive packages that are in process for Optimism. Two, you have a very different set of user preferences between the users of Ethereum mainnet and the users of Arbitrum and Optimism. And frankly, the strategies are also riskier. As we've seen with real yield on Optimism, Aave is a much more unstable platform from borrow rate point of view, and the leverage staking strategies are a lot more volatile. And so, they're not exactly the same, but I do think that there's a lot of opportunities for growing on L2s. We're also expecting to launch on a lot more L2s. The biggest reason why we haven't launched on them yet is this front-end dev team has been upgrading our WAGB dependencies to support all of these different L2s. So, and that's a giant pain in the ass. But it'll be done sooner or later, and then we'll move on to the next thing.
Tell us, what blockchain will be added shortly?
Scroll is probably the next one. Base is definitely high on our list. And then we'll continue to move on from there.
Can you explain this buyback mechanism? Because Sommelier earns some fees. For example, you buy back Somm from DEX or from SEX?
Users have to bid on Sommelier. They can source their Somm tokens from wherever. Somm tokens they already have. They can buy those Somm tokens on the DEX. They can buy those Somm tokens on centralized exchange. So basically, every time the strategist collects fees, it triggers an auction. That auction takes about 2 days. It's a descending price auction where the price of the asset just descends. Every time those auctions are triggered, funds that flow into those auctions become the staking rewards. And now that those staking grants have ended, the only staking rewards that will come in unless there's a new staking grant, the staking rewards will all come from auctions. From my point of view, it seems like people have not been that excited to own Somm based on the staking grants. And so it seems to make more sense for the Somm fees to come from the tokens being bought back by the token auctions. No one is buying back the token. There's an auction. One can bid in the auction. The token isn't being bought back by anyone. And then when the tokens go to the auction, tokens flow to stakers. So there's a permissionless auction. Right now there's a client for it. It's not the easiest thing in the world to use, but we are working on making it easier to use. There's an auction bot. But yeah, anyone can participate in the auction, buy ETH typically and WBTC from the protocol. The protocol at the auctions are sold, I think, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 75 ETH since the beginning of the year.
Why do you think whales are entering in your project while the mass market seems to be asleep?
It's a good question. My sense of the whales is the whales want to earn steady yield on their ETH, and the mass market wants to chase new speculative tokens. I think that's basically where we're at. We're definitely like in a state of the market where the market is chasing, the eigenlayer airdrop, governance tokens of LRTs, and mem-coins. That seems to be like where like a very large amount of retail capital is being allocated. And there doesn't seem to be like any super huge advantage to that. But also, I think like at the end of the day, like it's kind of crazy how much retail capital is like sort of losing money on these things. Retail should learn to allocate some of their capital to sort of like steady growth, steady yield strategies, and not everything should be chasing like the next points program.
Many projects build their communities. What are you doing to make your community grow?
So we do things like launch mem-coins, do other things that are sort of accessible to retail, and continuing to just like launch, grow the project. Launch new products, launch new strategies. The real frontier is new strategies that are natively integrated into asset issuers, primarily what I'm focused on. Like, I don't want, like, the goal of Sommelier is very oriented around growing a community of users. We want a community from people who use things.
You were the first to show Babylon to the world, and it recently raised another 70 million. I'm not going to ask you if the Sommelier stakers will get a drop when Babylon comes out, but I'm curious if you have invested in this project, and if so, should we expect an integration between Sommelier and Babylon?
I have not looked into the question of integrating Sommelier and Babylon deeply. So the answer is kind of like, we don't know. Like, I think a lot of the appeal of Babylon, so like right now people are trying to do various things with Babylon. Like, I think the most compelling component of Babylon is just yield without bridging your Bitcoin, which isn't necessarily like the most obvious thing that then we could integrate into Sommelier. Maybe there's a way, but there's, people are talking about things like building, restaking, etc. on top of Babylon. And in that situation, there might be stuff we can do.
Have you invested in Babylon or not?
Yeah, I'm an advisor and I was in the seed round.
I saw your avatar with the slot. Do you like NFT and the opportunities that NFT culture brings?
Yeah. And the Sloths have been like a hugely successful NFT project and been super fun. I think that there's like a lot of advantages to trying to like build concepts and projects that people will be excited about.
Did you mint it or you bought it from the market?
No, I created it. I'm the creator of the Sloths.
Okay, so you creator?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you plan to integrate NFT in your service? For example, the owner of specific NFT gets slightly higher yield.
No, that seems stupid. Like, at the end of the day, like bulk capital is fungible, and like trying to have these mechanisms by which there are right now two parties that get fees from it, right? So like, where would the excess yield come from? So there's like three places the excess yield can come from. Like printing new tokens or like just deploying tokens from Somm. Which like is part of the game, but like unclear why you would want to attach it to an NFT. Then there's like NFTs that give discounts. So like, you could have like fee rebates from either the strategist or the protocol. And that's definitely something that's like possible. And somebody might want to do that. They might want to launch an NFT collection that like offers fee discounts on a specific strategy. It's definitely possible for like a strategist to pull that off. Again, not 100% sure. I wouldn't necessarily say I think it's a stupid idea. It would be very much up to the discretion of the strategist. Because the strategist it would be the one in a position to offer the biggest fee discount.
Your uncle recently passed away, and like you, he worked in the financial sector. How close did you know him, and did he give you advice like how to make more money or how to become rich?
No, he never gave me any advice on how to get rich. He did give me a lot of it. He was very good at how to be effective, how to have an impact, how to be honest, how to be ethical, how to achieve things by sheer force of will. Those are the things I mostly learned from him.
Understand. So some question from the audience. Are you going to list some on other centralized exchanges?
We are listed on Gate right now. We probably would need to see some more positive price action before we really consider doing additional centralized exchange listing.
What is your favorite coins in Cosmos or in not Cosmos? Top 5 maybe. Do you hold Bitcoin, for example?
I hold Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin. I like ETH. I like TIA. I'm very excited about the Penumbra launch. Excited about Babylon. Oh, I like Agoric a lot. BLD. I think it's like probably the most undervalued coin in Cosmos. Saga.
For example, if you like TIA, do you like Dymnesion?
To be very honest, I don't like Dymnesion.
Why?
Of all the ways of building a roll-up on Celestia, it seems to me to be the least exciting way of building a rollup is using Dymnesion's framework. I could build a rollup on top of using Astria. I could build a rollup using Rollkit. I could build a Rollkit. Build a rollup using like any number of things, like Astria, Rollkit, Initia. I could use the Sovereign SDK. I could use all kinds of different tools, techniques, whatever. And all of them have like different and exciting properties. Like, so like, if I build with Rollkit, I get like a sovereign chain, a sovereign rollup chain, I get to control everything. If I build with Initia, I have this entire ecosystem they build and all these different alt VMs. If I build with Astria, I get a shared sequencer and IBC interop and all of these things. And if I build with Dymnesion, it's not really clear what exciting thing I get. I get like a old Ethermint fork. It's sort of the least exciting pitch to me, like what to build.
What kind of trend do you expect in 2024 or 2025 in cryptocurrency?
I think chain abstraction is going to continue to be like a big narrative, and not just a narrative. I think just generally, like blockchains are going to continue to get a lot more user friendly. The kinds of things that we do routinely with blockchains would have been so difficult even a year ago. You know, things like skip API, intent-based protocols. All of these things are like abstracting over bridging, making interaction a lot easier and faster.
The last question. We don't need to claim anything. I'm staker of Sommelier. I don't need to claim anything.
Yeah. It'll just appear in your Kepler wallet.
Okay, perfect.
Like it'll just your wine will just appear magically on osmosis.
So
in your wallet.
I mean, liquidity pools will be on Solana, on osmosis also or not?
You know, there's also like $100,000 liquidity, like Somm wine liquidity pool already on osmosis.
Mm-hmm.
You can use either. You can use Picasso to bridge. There's about $100,000 of liquidity in the Radiant pool too.
Zaki, it's a shame that nobody see your project because it's it's absolutely amazing crypto project. And when I watch your speech on different conferences, it's so strange that you beat all yield market. People just don't know about it and don't use it. I don't know what is going on when some shitcoins is rising, but Sommelier is going down. So it's so strange.
The market for quality is not there right now.
Thank you very much for this conversation, Zaki. I really appreciate it that you came. Thank you. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to talk to you. Nice to meet you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.